Hey everybody, it's your boy C-Tizzle, and today we're going to be talking about something a bit different. We're going to be discussing TikTokers. Hold on, don't leave just yet. I've got a story to tell you, involving two very famous TikTokers, James Charles, a snail, and Dino Nuggets. I know, quite the winning combo. So I know we've gone this long on the channel without talking about TikTok, but at some point you have to acknowledge the beast. It would have been pretty funny if it actually got banned here in the US, but it wasn't, so here we are. A man's gotta make coin somehow. Today's story is about Charli and Dixie D'Amelio, who are two sisters who have gotten really famous from TikTok, with Charli at almost 100 million followers there, which will be relevant to this story soon. Apparently they also have a channel called the D'Amelio Family, so they recently uploaded the very first episode of Dinner with the D'Amelios with a mystery guest, James Charles. That's right, none other than Jim Chuck himself. You may remember him from last year's kerfuffle that involved vitamins and a whole lot of false allegations. But James has cleared his name since, and he's been killing the game. So James shows up, the chef brings them their food, and things seem to be going alright for the most part. James starts talking about how when he first met Charli, he was telling her that she needs to pay attention to her contracts and deal terms. But as he's saying all of this, Dixie is taken aback after she sees a snail in her meal. And this is where the problems begin.
Because a lot of people don't, but unfortunately that's how a lot of influencers... What is everyone laughing at?
What is this?
Oh my god.
It's a mushroom.
No, it's not. That's a snail.
Oh my god.
It is a snail.
Oh!
It's a snail. It's the caracol. It's classic in paella, and it's actually an omen of good luck and fortune.
So they urge Dixie to try it, and she starts throwing up.
Yummy.
See? Look at this.
It sometimes happens when...
Classic Dixie. Do we have any dino nuggets?
Ew!
I do find it genuinely funny that your sister is throwing up and you're just like, do we have any dino nuggets?
It was good, but then there's a salty part on it. That was not good. It tasted like chicken.
People were upset and felt that Charli and Dixie were rude in how they treated the chef, and I can definitely understand why this looks bad. When I first watched it, I thought it was a certified bra moment. I mean, Dixie was being pretty dramatic, and Charli was being kinda rude when the chef was talking about how the snails are for good luck or something, and she was like, liars.
Does it actually bring you good luck?
Good luck and good fortune, yes.
Liars.
But you also have to keep in mind two things. First of all, Charli is 16, and Dixie is 19. I'm not saying that being young is a good excuse for bratty behavior, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that both of these people are very young and have tens of millions of people watching them. They still have quite a bit of growing up to do. And with that much fame and success at such a young age, that's absolutely going to affect them in one way or another. And second of all, and this is a big one, this was planned. The Hollywood Fix actually caught up with a chef whose name is Aaron May, and with Tommy Burns, whose name sounds like some sort of unholy ship between me and Bobby Burns. But he's actually the creative director for the D'Amelio family.
You know, there was somebody on production thought it would be funny to feed Dixie and Charli snails.
Okay.
They didn't take it the best. I love Dixie and Charli. I've worked with them before. I'm going to work with them again. Somebody, I'm not going to say who,
Oh, this guy right
thought
here.
it would be funny to feed them snails.
So it was your idea to put the snails in there?
Yeah, it was my idea. We're in the content business, and I've known Dixie and Charli for a long time. I've known the family for a long time. I knew Dixie would eat it. She's fearless. She's afraid of nothing. I knew she would try it. I knew she probably wouldn't like it.
That's right, it was deliberately set up to get a reaction out of Dixie, because you have to keep in mind, this is a show. Things might be played up for the camera. That's just how the entertainment business works. But a lot of people seem to be overlooking this. Also, the chef himself was not offended at all.
Those girls are the greatest. I love them.
Okay.
It was all fun and games.
Were your feelings hurt, or how did you, I mean...
Not at all, not at all. I mean, I don't expect them to love the snails.
The man gives zero hoots. He's not bothered in the slightest bit, so there's really no need to get offended on his behalf. However, it is worth saying, even if it was part of the plan to put a snail in Dixie's food, she still most likely wasn't in on it, so in that case, the way she acted was still rude. And when I say that, I mainly just mean the overdramatic reaction. But again, they're in the entertainment business. And obviously you can't fault someone for not liking certain food, and you also can't fault someone for throwing up. She also clarified later that she and her family were working with the chef for a few months, and somewhere along the line, it was decided that it would be funny to try to provoke a reaction out of her by putting a snail in her meal. Which lines up with what Tommy Burns and the chef Aaron May have said. So to recap so far, Dixie threw up due to a pre-planned decision from the creative director to have her eat a snail, and so people got angry at her because they thought she was rude, and also at Charli for asking for dino nuggets.
Do we have any dino nuggets?
Ew.
And there were also a lot of people criticizing the parents.
It was a very dramatic scene.
But what else happened? Surely there's gotta be something worse that happened to warrant Charli D'Amelio losing about 1 million followers. Right? In the video, Charli says this.
Ugh, I wish I had like more time. Cause imagine if I hit 100 mil a year after hitting a mil.
Was the 95 not enough for you?
Well, I was just like saying like even number.
Well,
So people have been calling Charli ungrateful and spoiled, and people have also taken what she said to mean that she only sees her followers as numbers. But that's not what she meant. While it is true that she and Dixie were being rude, and I can completely understand why other people would pick up on that, this on the other hand was a completely innocent comment. She was just talking about how it would be cool to reach such a huge milestone a year after she reached 1 million followers. And 100 million is a nice round number and a huge achievement. Nothing she said here insinuated that she was ungrateful for the millions of followers she does have. And I feel like you would have to be viewing this pretty uncharitably to come to that conclusion. But that didn't stop many people from being outraged anyway, to the point that she lost almost 1 million followers. And according to multiple news outlets, she actually even received death threats. Although I didn't find any hard evidence supporting this, I don't find it difficult to believe, considering Charli's family has actually had to hire full-time security back in July because of threats.
Like people telling me to hang myself, people just like blatantly disrespecting the fact that I'm still a human being is not okay at all. And people making fun of the fact that it's just like that's not okay. You can hate on me for whatever I've done, but the fact that all of this is happening because a misunderstanding, like I just feel like that's not okay. And if this is the community that I'm in and the community that I put myself in, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. At the end of the day, just like be nice, like don't tell people to kill themselves.
Honestly, the fact that such an innocent and harmless comment could spark so much hatred and backlash is astounding, and the way that some people have responded to the whole controversy is really telling of the lack of compassion and empathy that people have for others. I feel like it's important to make a distinction that she's not crying because her numbers are going down, at least I don't think so. She's crying about all of the vile and cruel things that people are saying to her. Because I'm seeing some people frame it as, oh, she's crying because she's losing followers. But to have so many people say all of these terrible things and even send you death threats is pretty overwhelming, I would imagine. I mean, 99 million followers is a pretty insane amount of eyeballs on you. And with a number that big, it's going to inevitably attract a large number of haters as well. But again, she is literally only 16 years old, and it's completely understandable to react this way when you get this many people telling you some of the most vile things possible. And when you're this popular, you don't even need to do anything bad for people to start hating on you. For instance, take a look at Corp's husband, who hasn't done anything worth canceling at all. But there are still people who hate him for, get this, existing. I know, what a menace to society. But then, Trisha Paytas decided to get involved.
There's a chef making them food, they're being really disrespectful, just spitting out the food. And they're 19, they're young, but I do think since they are role models on such a big platform, they should be called out when they need to be humbled a little, because you see this happen all the time. People get really famous, a lot of followers really quickly. They think they're entitled to 100 million. They complain that they only have 95 million followers. They complain that they have a personal chef, and it's just unbecoming. And I don't think it's something to be embarrassed about because they are young girls, but to be catty and bratty in the comments when people are just like, hey, we're kind of like, this isn't cool behavior. It's just trying to help them learn and ultimately not get canceled, because this kind of attitude, it won't get you far. Period.
So Charli decided to respond while she was on Instagram Live.
You have been completely rude to me multiple times, saying I She doesn't have a personality, she can't dance, she's basic. Like, you have your own problems, please stop worrying about mine.
James would soon defend Charli on Twitter, tweeting, "This Charli situation is not sitting right with me. 100 million followers in 1 year and y'all expect her to know how to be a perfect role model? Death threats because she's a picky eater and made a joke about a milestone? 30-plus-year-olds dragging someone half their age? Feels familiar." So Trisha then went on to say that his friendship with Charli is predatory, tweeting, "Poor parenting on your parents' end, James, for allowing you to be friends with Toddy, a middle-aged woman while you were a teen. Unfortunately, you were the victim then, but now Charli's the victim. You being friends with a minor is predatory. Definitely have always said no one deserves to be cancelled. Everyone has room for growth and positive influence, except James Charles. Please cancel him. He's a forever victim with a superiority conflict, I'm assuming Trisha means complex, has never said sorry his whole life, and hangs out with an underage girl regularly."
I didn't want to respond to this because I didn't want to give Trisha the attention that she's clearly craving. However, I've now been accused of being a child groomer, and this is not an accusation that I'm going to take lightly. To insinuate that the relationship between Charli and I is anything other than just a friendship is absolutely disgusting. I don't need Charli, and Charli does not need me. I became friends with the Domino family as a whole very, very early on because this was all very, very new to them, and I wanted to be a friend and a mentor in any way that I possibly could. And Charli and I, despite not being the same age, had one thing in common, which was coming to the spotlight at a very, very young age. This is something that Trisha has never experienced because the only reason she is in the spotlight is because she has said racist things. She said the N-word, she's done blackface, she offended the trans community, she offended the DID community, she said Hitler wasn't that bad of a guy, voted for Trump, and has started a fight with about every single other creator on this platform. You are in no position to be talking about me and my career, so I highly recommend that you stop starting fights with people that are half your age, pack it up, and work on holding yourself and your best friends around you because they and you are the problem.
Saying somebody is doing something predatory is a really serious claim. And when your only basis for saying that about James is that he's friends with someone 5 years younger than him, then that's crossing a line. There's nothing inherently predatory about James being friends with Charli, and it's in no way fair or reasonable to assume anything suspicious is going on without any evidence at all. I mean, James isn't even into women. And so Trisha had this to say. James Charles really thought he did something. He's fat-shamed me, now he's age-shamed me. But I never called you a groomer. Hanging with minors as an adult, however, is predator shit. However, when you look at the evidence, Trisha is actually the one who has a history of making sexual comments about minors. That's a pretty big topic itself, so if you want more information about that, I'd encourage you to watch Creepshow Art's video about it. She does a great job covering it. At the end of the day, James Charles and Charli D'Amelio are two people who became super famous at a very young age, and they're both in the business of making online content, so it makes sense why they would be friends. They can relate with each other. And we all make mistakes, especially at such a young age. It's just that the D'Amelio sisters are making all of their mistakes on a public stage with millions of people watching them. But if we've learned anything from this situation, it's this. Snail apparently tastes like chicken.
It tastes like chicken.
I don't actually know what it tastes like, and I don't want to find out for myself. So maybe someone in the comments section can enlighten me. Also, while I was making this video, apparently she reached 100 million followers, so cool beans. But as toxic as the YouTube climate may feel at times, just remember, at least it's not TikTok. So what do you guys think? That's about it for this video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm also on Patreon if you want to help support my content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Sometimes I feel like I'm alone when I would let you go. It's like this every day. I wish I could take it all away. These evenings always come and go, like feeling vertigo. It's alright, we're back home. It's alright, cause we already know. In a perfect world I wouldn't leave your side, but I've got things by which I must abide. So just let me know I'm on your mind, and I can sleep a little easier tonight. I can sleep a little easier tonight.